Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets that thing called life inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Like I said, you're listening on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt and on wakeupcalldt.com. And of course, you're watching us, hello, live here on facebook.com/live-now-dt and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So happy to have you here every Monday through Friday and every time we do our bonus shows as well. Appreciate you so very much inside of these Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal, a place where you can head out to and support local by filling your cup with whatever you would like, from their coffees and their chais and teas and to everything else they offer, from their sandwiches and their breakfasts, their lunch opportunities, and their quick bites and desserts and snacks as well. So thank you to Cafe Kubal for all that you do. Located on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, and 208 North Townsend Street, all in Syracuse, and their location out in Manlius on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So make sure you head out to Cafe Kubal today and support local. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', today's show, obviously on TGIF, we have our trio of segments we do every single Friday. Those segments are The Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, followed by Lead, Learn, Evolve, Adlib, and Deliver, brought to you by Chick-fil-A Cicero with my co-host, Juanita Ward. And we have the Top Dog of the Week announcement, brought to you by Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Kampground Dog Boarding, all coming to you today on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And of course, we always do something special after that, and today's something special is something we have never done before on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and that is bring you an entire screen full of Syracuse Orange men's basketball alumni. So today we will be featuring Rex Trowbridge, Dale Shackelford, Brandon Reese, Roosevelt Bowie Jr., Sonny Spira, Eric Santaford, Gene Waldron, Jim Lee, and Dennis Duval, all on the same screen at the same time, giving you a Syracuse Orange men's basketball reunion to remember, as each of the gentlemen will be speaking about things going on in the current climate of Syracuse basketball, as well as thinking about their days. They will also, with the transfer portal being so prevalent in today's world, they will each answer the question, would they come to Syracuse again if they had to make the choice today? So, a lot of great stuff coming up with all these gentlemen. Like I said, Rex Trowbridge, Dale Shackelford, Gene Waldron, Jim Lee, Eric Santaford, Dennis Duval, Brandon Reese, Roosevelt Bowie Jr., and Sonny Spira, all joining Wake Up Call on the same screen, and they'll be coming in and out through the broadcast, but on the same screen here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. So buckle up for something awesome coming your way here in just a little bit here on the show in about an hour. So with that being stated, it is now time for us to get into the annoying moment of the week to start things off for today's broadcast. Appreciate your patience this morning, and we will jump into the annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, the home of the Orange Dream, the Wake Up Call signature sundae and shake, which is my spin on an orange creamsicle, available exclusively at Carvel DeWitt. So, with that being stated, let's hop into this annoying moment of the week.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The annoying moment of the week.
I really honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
You have to be that crazy. I guess so. This week's annoying moment of the week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York, is the notion of who can you trust when it comes to getting information. You know, I had to look up some stuff this week that was important, and the question that I had on my mind, especially being somebody that's in the media by definition, is who can you trust in the media? What source, what outlets can we trust? You know, I mean, the thing going on right now with everybody looking to get a shot or not looking to get a shot or don't know if they want to get the vaccine or don't, whatever it may be, I realized that looking up information was more difficult. It wasn't just simply getting information on the shot. It was getting information from different places. Some places telling me this, some places telling me that. And I asked myself, where's the central thought? Where's the central notion? That, you know, I mean, where's that central thing where you could really trust and believe what you're hearing? And I don't know if we have that right now. And it made me stop and really think, and it made me feel bad, that in today's world, who is the voice to trust? Now, I know that when it comes to anything I put out here on the show, I try to be that. I'm always an honest person. I can't come forward and not be honest with you. So I have to be honest because it's just me. I got too big of a conscience and I have no desire to lie to anybody. You know, but I've told the honest truth and been dragged through the coals for it. I've had people steal information from me consistently. I've had people lie about stuff I do. I've had people attack my name and attack my business for being a trusted source, for being a source you can count on. And I thought to myself, you know, maybe that's why some people just stop doing it. Maybe that's why some people aren't trusted sources anymore. Because they didn't like the way that they were treated, so they just stopped doing it. Or maybe they never got started because of the abuse that you take by trying to be a trusted source. Made me think about a lot of things. And it made me think about how sad I am in today's world that we don't know where to go to ask the question. People tell you, do your research. But I know that where someone might have the time to do the research, other people may not. Other people may not have the means to do the research. They may not have a phone that allows them to do it. They may not have a laptop. They may not have the education. And that really started to make me think. It makes me sad that we live in a world where not only do we not know who to trust, but we don't all have access to the same information. And some of us may trust blindly and will be led to things that maybe aren't the best for us, or maybe don't make the most sense, or maybe they're not the best source. And it's led me to really sit here and say to myself, where can we go? Not just as Americans, but as human beings. Where can we go? Who can we trust? When we really need to make an important, educated decision, who do we trust? Is there anybody out there that we can truly trust in the media? Well, I can tell you that you could trust me. I can tell you that my track record of over 17 years of doing this thing, and my life in general and the people that can vouch for me, I would think that I have a pretty nice resume to show you that you could trust me. Not in a cocky way, but in a way that hopefully can help you have a little more peace. That you can trust me. And as a trusted source, I realize that people don't like when I get to the information first. They think they can bury it. They think they can lie about it. People say horrible things. They think they can just move on. Attack somebody else. Do something to somebody else, but never apologize. And it made me stop and think, why do I give the information? Why do I put it out there? If I know there's so much hate and negativity, if I know people are going to steal it, if I know people are going to question it, if I know people are going to attack me for no reason, why put it out there? And the reason why I do it is not for them. It's for God. It's for myself. I put it out there for God because He gave me talents. He gave me the ability and He gave me the relationships. So I feel like I owe it to Him to do what's right. And I owe it to myself to do what's right. And I love what I do, and I do what I love, and I enjoy it. And it makes me excited to do what's right. And to have fun with it. And to show people that they can trust somebody. So, like my father said, you never did it for the people that have a problem. And whether it's 3 or 3 million, you never did it for them. You did it for you. You did it for God. And you did it to try and be a place of information for people. You tried to be a source of something good. Your intent is always good. And the hardest thing for me to see in today's world is that when I, as somebody who is a resource of information, tries to be a resource of information, I thought to myself, where are my resources of information? Where are the places I can go where I trust the information that's coming out? And I found that to be difficult. And you kind of realize that some people trust sources that you don't trust. Some people trust things that you don't trust. Some people think if it doesn't come from one place, it doesn't exist. And people could think that about me. They could think it about somebody else. They could think it about whatever. But trying to get information on a vaccine that I'm hoping will protect people is not as easy as I thought it was. And I think at the end of the day, you end up trusting your gut. You end up trusting in God. You trust yourself. And that's really how it's got to be. I believe, and I know people believe in different things to listen to the show and watch the show, and that's fine. I believe in God. I believe that the only thing that will ever get me to where I'm supposed to go and lead me in the right direction ultimately is God. Always. And so I trust that God will help me make all my decisions. Help me to sleep sweetly. And if the world disagrees with me, combats me, lies, cheats, and steals from me, that he'll tell me, hey, you know what? You did the right thing. You had no control over what they were going to do, but you did the right thing. As long as I do the right thing. As long as I do the right thing. And that's a hard thing to take, because it's like sometimes you do the right thing and it feels wrong by the way you're treated. So how do you know you did it? It's your heart. It's your gut. So my annoying moment of the week this week is just feeling sad for the world that people that try to do the right thing are attacked, are put down, are questioned, are defamed, are ridiculed. And then when people seek information, sometimes it's very hard to find the right information. So I would tell you to trust yourself, trust in God, and trust those blessings He's put around you, and differentiate who is and who isn't. And talk to that inner circle and be with that inner circle. I surround myself with no yes people. I have none. I have nobody that tells me what I want to hear. And it's made me better. Because they push me when they need to. They hug me all the time. And they love me up all the time. So find those people that push you. You know? Find that comfort. Your dog, your cat, your bird, your kids, your grandparents, your parents, your friends, your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your neighbors. Because I feel like the way we're gathering information as a society now, with so many news channels not speaking the same information about the same subject, is that we talk to each other. We ask questions to each other. And maybe in an inadvertent way, we're making the world a better place. Because if we don't know who to trust and we talk it out, maybe we're building a community again that was detached. Maybe we're reconnecting with each other and finding a way to navigate forward together. That's my hope. That's my desire. I tell people all the time, don't just blindly follow me. Check my track record. Check my relationships. See what happened. When I put Marek was leaving, I had Adrian Autry on the show a few days later. He talked about it too. When I talked about Quincy's situation being fluid, talked about it too. When I talked about Jimmy Boeheim coming to Syracuse, Cole Swider mentioned it too. And so, I mean, I'm not going to put out something that I believe is a lie. I'm just not. It's not who I am. It's not how I'm made. I don't sensationalize and I don't clickbait. And I think in a world that we live in today where it is clickbait and it is this, that, and whatever, you just got to really focus and try and figure things out and do the best you can to make good decisions. You're not going to be perfect. And sometimes we're going to trust people and things that we shouldn't. And we're going to learn from it. And we're going to do better. But I can tell you that if we live in a world that's attacking my name, that's funny to me. Because all I do is love. And all I do is try. And I only put out information if I really believe in it. Because at the core of who I am, being honest and kind and loving and caring, it's what I'm all about. I'm trying to walk in the footsteps that get me back to heaven. I'm not trying to walk in the footsteps that get me the most likes on my page. So, what I want for this world stepping forward is more clarity. More of a genuine seeking of the truth and sharing of the truth. Because don't we all deserve that? Don't we all deserve to hear the truth? Finally. To me, we do. To me, we should have always heard it. So I hope that it's there. When I put Marek was leaving, I had Adrian Autry on the show a few days later. You hear the truth. And I hope that we get what we need. Finally, when we need it. To me, we do. Because I'm not here to give any light. We should have always heard it. So I hope that I'm not here to help out the people that are trying to do bad in this world. And I hope that we hear it. I've never been here for that. I want you to be able to wake up and feel safe with what you're getting. Be able to trust in it. And it seems like the more information that's been accessible in society, the more chance there is for it to not be true. Or embellished. Or stolen. Or regurgitated or twisted. Or hidden. But I'm a firm believer that God lights the path. And when you think you're being screwed over, you think you're not getting what you're supposed to, if you pray about it, if you do your best, then it'll work out. It always does. It always will. So yeah, it's frustrating that information is the way it is right now, that it's not easy to get. And sometimes when it is, people do things with it that they shouldn't. But my hope that we move forward together, that we do the right thing always, and that we just, for those of us that are giving the information, that we feel an obligation to tell you the truth, and that we do. And that for those of you receiving it, will know the difference between the truth and a lie. That's what I want. We'll take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Proud thanks to Carvel DeWitt, the home of the Orange Dream. You can get it in sundae or shake form. It's my spin on an orange creamsicle, essentially, in a sundae or shake form. It's orange sherbet, vanilla, and then on top of that, rainbow sprinkles, whipped cream, and a cherry. Tastes like you're just diving right into an orange creamsicle sundae, or you're drinking one. Fantastic, and available right there exclusively at Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. It is what happy tastes like, and we will be back right after this with Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, featuring Juanita Ward, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero. And all of this is coming to you from inside of the Café Kubal studios.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Café Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Café Kubal needs. Café Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Proud to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports truly meets that thing called life here on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, on wakeupcalldt.com, and, of course, on facebook.com/livenowdt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So however you're tuning into the show, thank you so much for being a part of it, and I appreciate you being here as always. So I hope you're having a fantastic week, and hopefully we make it even better as we step into Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-lib, and Deliver, proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero, a positive segment to help us to learn how to lead, how to evolve, how to ad-lib, and how to deliver on the promises we've made to ourselves and to others. And that is with my co-host, Juanita Ward. So let's bring Miss Juanita into the show. Juanita, how you doing today?
Hey, Dan, how's it going?
Going good, going well. You know, my beard keeps growing like a chia pet. I don't know what to do with it, but it's here. It's just all up in my business. I thought I trimmed it down a couple days ago, and I touched it this morning, and I was like, "You are a barbarian." But so it's here. It's all right. You know, I got to keep the goatee fresh, which means I got to take care of what's around it. But you know, I can tell you that I enjoy trimming this more than I enjoy trimming my lawn. That is one thing with good weather I never want to do. And like I have a neighbor that like cuts his lawn like every 3 days. And I try to get like 2 weeks out of it. So it's interesting, it's fun, but the weather's been beautiful and I'm happy to be here, and Juanita, before we get set on our topic of today, what can you tell me about your week, and what are some of the blessings you feel like you've had this week?
Dan, it's been a great week. We've had some sunshine and we've had some rain. And I often like to look at, kind of what goes on throughout the week as a symbolic to something that God is trying to tell us. And, there's been a lot of things that are happening in this world, a lot of things that are going on in the world. But I try to look at the simple ways that, God throws out little nuggets for us to understand. And for me, it was definitely seeing the sunshine and then seeing the rain. It wasn't the really bad. It was more of watering of this rain that came. And I was so humbled to see that, and so humbled to get the refreshing of it, that it was just the most gratifying thing. I mean, to just, come home, drive in it, and it wasn't bad. It was very manageable. But I was also thinking, oftentimes we have so much in our life that we get so complacent with what's going on in the world, and we're driving and we're just going and we're not really looking north, south, east, or west. We just have this tunnel vision. And God says, hold on, well, wait a minute. I have something in the near future. Let me water it for you. And that's kind of how I looked at the rain. Early on, it was very, very sunny for the first two days, and then Wednesday it rained, and it was one of those things that I just kind of said to myself, I just thank you so much, God, for this rain, because we needed it. Honestly, I mean, the pollen is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
The air is kind of different here. And so once the rain came, it cooled things down. It washed things away. It gave us a cleansing for a little while. And it was so important to me because yesterday I was sitting outside with my mother and it was 80 degrees. 80 degrees, right?
Yeah.
But it was cool. And I was just sitting there laying in the lawn, just thanking God and just looking up and just telling him, man, this is awesome. It's 80 degrees in Mississippi, but this 80 degrees is like it's really, really bearable, and it's cool. It's very obtainable. Like, I can just sit out here and just chill for forever in this type of weather, being 80 degrees in Mississippi. It was the best weather, so beautiful, and I was just so honored and thanking God for that opportunity.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You talk about people want green grass. Well, you need the rain. People want that pollen, to get off the car that's caked on the car. You need the rain. People want to be able to spray that bee's nest that keeps making itself right in front of my house. I need the rain. So, and I love bees, and I love honey. I don't like that they attach themselves to my house. So, but it's just it's one of those things where we need that. We need that. People don't like driving in the snow, but they want a white Christmas. You got to think about that. There's actually a Lil Wayne line from a recent song where he said, it's something along the lines of the brightest rainbow means the baddest weather. And it hits me every time he says it. That remember that the baddest weather brings the brightest rainbow. That in order for you to see something beautiful, you got to go through the pain. And I just find that to be so impactful of a statement to make, Juanita. So I want to hear your thoughts on that. That the brightest rainbow comes from the baddest rain, and it comes from the worst storm. The fact that if we want to get to that really, really, really beautiful moment that we just stand in awe in, we got to go through the pain to get there.
I think about it as planting. When you plant a seed in the ground, the seed does not just sprout up instantaneously once the seed has been planted into the ground. It has to go through a metamorphosis. It has to go through a foundation that has already been laid. It has to go through a bunch of dirt and a bunch of, junk and yuck and gook and everything that's under the surface. It has to go through in order to sprout up, but it can't sprout up unless it has the proper nutrients. A bunch of dirt and a bunch of, junk. When I look at a rainbow, when I look at, after it finished raining, sometimes I'll tell you this example. A couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago, or a year ago now. I'm trying to get the exact date. It rained really, really bad down here. And it stormed, extremely bad. I was actually at my parents' house because I was visiting them. And it stormed extremely, extremely bad to the point where there's a tree that's in the back of my mother's house, my mother and my father's house. And this tree is so deeply rooted. I promise you, I'll take a picture and send it to you, Dan. It's so deeply rooted, and it's a big, humongous tree that it's almost impossible for the tree to fall unless there's a huge storm that comes through, a huge wind that comes through and knocks the tree down. The tree breaks, falls on the house, part of the house, not the whole house, but falls on part of the house. And after the storm is complete, we have a huge mess. There's a huge tree on my parents' house. And at the end of, the storm and the rain is gone and everything is stopped, the tree is still there. The tree is actually, it's massive, to be quite honest with you. It's over the pavement where my car was, and the tree is over my car. The tree is over my dad's truck. The tree is laying on the house, covering our gazebo, and completely just demolished our porch and the back part of our house. And you can't walk in the yard. You can't, in the backyard, you can't walk right there because the tree was that huge. And after everything was over, it's this little drizzle that's coming out of the sky. And I'm looking in the sky, completely goes back to being blue. And then all of a sudden I see this beautiful rainbow.
Yeah.
And then I look back down at the house and I'm going, wait, huh? And then I look back up at the sky and I'm going, wow, that's a beautiful rainbow. So then I have to leave and go get food while, everyone is down trying to, work on the house, work on the tree and, get the tree off of, my vehicle and get the tree off my dad's vehicle and, cut up some limbs and get it off the power lines and all those things. And so I leave and I go grab some food for my family. And as I'm going there, it's like I'm following this rainbow. And actually, I remember calling you, Dan, on the phone because I was getting food. And I told you, I said, Dan, I see two rainbows in the sky. And you told me, you said, man, I think I see the same thing. That reminds me of my grandmother because I was just having this conversation about my grandmother, something along those lines of your grandmother talking about rainbows.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, wow, this crazy thing just happened. And then God throws out this beautiful, beautiful rainbow in the sky. And the sun comes out. It gets extremely, bright in the sky. The sky turns back blue. And I'm looking, trying to figure out, okay, well, where's that rainbow going to stop? It's amazing how we can go through some things, but yet still end up with a blessing. Even though the tree fell on our house, my mother was able to get everything, done. And on top of that, we were able to bless people as we were trying to clean up. As we were trying to reconstruction, as we were trying to redefine, parts of our house, as I was trying to, get my truck back, to looking how it looked. God blessed in the midst of it. We were able to help other people. I was able to give away things that I didn't need. I was able to, to bless people with a new bedding. I was able to bless people with, food. People were just stopping by. Random people were just stopping by. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable how much we can give in the midst of something that's chaotic. Yeah. It should have been a time of us going, oh my God, this is terrible. This is crazy. How in the world can this be? I can't believe this. The house is messed up. There's no way that we're going to get out of this. But God said, yeah, there's a way you're going to get out of it. Don't look at the situation. Look at what I have done. Look at what I'm going to do. Sometimes I will knock stuff down, cause things to happen just so that you can get to your blessing. Now, that may sound a little strange to some because they'll say, wait a minute, why would God cause things to happen? He's the author and the creator of everything. We don't know exactly what he's going to do. And sometimes when we're in the midst of a storm, it's not necessarily for us to go through it and complain about it. It's for us to go through it and grow from it, think from it, learn from it, redefine, reconnect, realign. We had an opportunity last year to rebirth some things. We had an opportunity last year when COVID hit to regather, redefine, realign, readjust. It's what do you do in the midst of a storm? Do you look at it in a perspective of this is terrible, oh woe me? Or do you look at it in the perspective of thank you, God, that I'm still able to breathe. Thank you, God, that I still have life. Because I was literally sitting in the den, and my father had just had surgery, and he was in the back line in the bed and couldn't get up. And when the tree fell, my mother was outside taking the trash up to the street. And the tree missed my mother by an inch, missed where I was sitting by a hair. I jumped up because I heard the cracking, ran to the back to grab my father because he could not get up out of the bed and walk. And it's only by the grace of God that we're still here today. So you don't look at situations as being something that is of imperfection, or look at a thing that goes on in your life as, oh, whoa, oh my goodness, your emotions get the best of you, and it becomes a victim mentality. Look at it from the perspective of this is a victorious mentality. You're still here. You're able to breathe. You're able to talk. You're able to speak life into other people and bless other people. Look back and see how far God has taken you, and not what the situation was meant to do. Sometimes we go through storms not for us to get washed away. We go through storms so that we can walk on top of the water, reaching out to what is reaching out for us. We have to be a blessing and know that sometimes there's a blessing in the midst of a storm.
Going off of everything you just said, I have a picture, quotes in my studio, and and it's off camera right now. It says, sometimes God calms the storm, other times he calms the sailor. And that was a hard thing for me to take in, but I talked about earlier in today's show that sometimes as a person in the media, people have stolen information from me, defamed me, tried to defame me, try to block what I've put out there, try to push down what I put out there, attacked my character, attacked my ability, attacked my talents, attacked my sources, attacked my network. And I looked up at God and said, why aren't you getting rid of the storm? And relationships I've been in, friendships or romantic, I said, God, why aren't you getting rid of the storm? And a night where we actually had a storm that was terrible here in Syracuse, it's called a microburst, like a mini tornado. I said, God, why aren't you calming the storm? And when my grandfathers passed away in the same year, I said, God, why did you give me this storm? And at 35 years old, it's not always easy, but I look at it and say, you know what? Sometimes he calms the storm, other times he calms the sailor. And what was God trying to teach me about people stealing my information or attacking me or going after me? It was trying to teach me to know exactly who I am, to know my character, to know my worth, to not seek outside happiness, but to seek it from within, to truly trust myself, to ask myself why I do what I do. Who am I doing it for? When my grandfathers passed away, it was to help me to value life in every second. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I haven't. When there was that storm that night, it was to hug my parents tighter. It was to appreciate a good night's sleep. It was to understand that just because I live in a place that's not Oklahoma or Kansas or Texas where, tornadoes are more prevalent, it was to say, hey, there are people hurting in other places. Remember that. Just because you don't have it here in that way doesn't mean I don't want you to value it and really pray for those people. Don't forget about them. Don't become a victim of it didn't happen to me, so who cares? So, in romantic relationships, if God didn't do what he did back then to take people out of my life, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have the people I'm with today. I wouldn't have moved to Florida and met my best friend. I wouldn't have moved back home. Like, there's so many things that happened that everything had a purpose. So sometimes God calms the storm. And other times he calms the sailor. And if I've learned anything about life, my stress comes from other people. But it should never come from me. And so it's about focusing on the fact of, if your stress comes from that which you cannot control, you'll have stress forever. But if you focus on being at peace with yourself and with God, this world can do whatever it wants and you'll be able to stay true, consistent. I've always been an honest person, but I haven't always taken care of myself. And if I've learned anything about these storms, it's that God wants me to understand that I can't control the water. I can't control the tree that may fall. I can't control the thunder and the lightning. I can't control the wind. I can't control the earth from shaking. But I can always control how I respond to it and what I do in moments of crisis. So, I'm learning still, Juanita. But we can't control the storm. We can control how we react. And there's never, ever been a time where God hasn't come and grabbed me in the storm and said, hey, you got this. And he's never left my side.
You know, it's amazing because I think about the hand. There's this photograph that there's a hand coming out of the sky that's reaching down to a person that's drowning in the water, and it's asking, you know, I'm looking at that picture, and what it's saying to me is, you know, don't let me drown in the midst of all the waves and the currents and everything that's going on. Every single thing that's going on in life is really, really taking over, you know, who I am. And the only thing that I have up right now is my arm that's reaching up towards heaven, asking God to completely take me up out of this imperfected world and help me not drown. You know, it's amazing because that's kind of how a lot of things are today in the world, right? It's like everything is just so overwhelming. Everything is just so completely, you know, drowning, and it's taking you down. And it's like the more you try to get up, the deeper the waves are that you know, drives you right on into the ocean even further. And the reality is, how in the world do you get yourself out of that? And how in the world can you stay positive once you get out of it? And it's amazing because there's an arm that's reaching from heaven that's reaching down to grab another arm out. The key to this is grab the arm that's reaching down to help you out of the situation, to help you out of what's going on in life, to help you out of something, and then accept a positive perspective. Take on a positive mentality. Take on a new birth. Take on a new focus. Take on a new mentality and a new perspective and a new way of doing things. There's a scripture in the Bible, Romans 12:2 says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. You can do that daily. It's a daily thing. You don't just, a child doesn't just know how to walk just because it comes out of the mother's womb, and because there's people that have went on before that child that just got to this earth that has went through the process of walking, that child is expected to just come out and walk. That's not the truth. The truth of the matter is when the child comes out of the belly, the child has to go through the processes of becoming, and the child has to go through the processes of getting to the stage of learning how to walk. In order to get yourself out of a situation, to see something different, in order to get yourself out of a stale mentality, to see something different, in order to get yourself out of a mentality that's holding you captive, you have to go through a process of seeing different. You have to go through a process of speaking different. Some have been raised to believe that the only thing you can see is negativity. Some have been raised to believe that the only thing you can see is positivity. Some have been raised to believe that the world is never going to change, is going to be what it is, and that's it. There may be truth in everything that I just said, but however, there has to be one truth that stands strong. And that truth is you can always speak positive on life, on a situation. Proverbs 18:21 says that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those that love it shall eat its fruit. What fruits are you speaking out of your mouth to believe that there is something greater than what you see in this imperfected world that we live in. What are you speaking to make yourself become positive, to rebirth, to reform, to give life, to give yourself a chance, to give yourself an opportunity? You cannot change how the world is going to be. You can change people and how they think. What you can change is how you react to certain things that go on that will give them an indication that there may be something greater out there, that they may need to change the way they behave and the way their character is. That when they see you, my father told me this before, and I'll never forget this. He said that you may be the only Bible that someone see because someone may never pick up the Bible and read it.
Yeah.
And I said, wow. So it stood out to me that every single day I leave out of my house, I'm a walking billboard. But before I leave out the house, I have to encourage and pump myself up so that I can give out what's in me to someone else. What's inside of me, if it's not positivity, I can't give you positivity. What's inside of me, if it's not life, I can't give you life. What's inside of me, if it's not joy, I cannot give you joy. The only thing I can give you is what I have. If I'm empty, I give you an empty vessel. If I'm strong, I give you a strong vessel. I give you strength. If I'm weak, I'll give you a weak vessel. I don't want to give you an incomplete of who I am. I want to pump myself up before I leave out the door because I want to be able to give what I have inside of me to someone else. And if I can't give you positive vibes, I'd rather not give you anything at all. If I can't be a good, genuine person, I'd rather not be anything at all. I know this to be true, that if I can just walk by and hold the door for somebody else, regardless to what they may think, regardless to how they may see it, if I can walk by and hold the door for someone else, I'm giving you off kindness. If I can walk by and give you a smile, I'm giving you off joy that may strengthen you. I know this to be true because I wake up every day and say this. For the joy of the Lord is my strength. For the joy of the Lord is my strength. So if I pump myself up with strength and joy, guess what I'm going to give to the world when I leave? I'm going to give strength and joy, because when I walk past you, you're going to be able to pick up the vibe. In an imperfected world that we live in, we cannot lower our standards and our values to what others may think and what others may say. We have to keep high standards. We have to keep high values. We have to redefine our morals. If we allow someone to come through and deteriorate and damper who we are and what we believe, then we are losing ourselves in this imperfected world. In order to be true to something, you have to stand for something. And why not pump yourself up with motivation before you leave out of your home, your foundation, your place of peace? Why not pump yourself up with motivation? Encourage yourself, motivate yourself, speak life over yourself, give yourself a victor's mentality, give yourself a winner's mindset by pumping yourself up, listening to something that's going to pump you up and get your spirits rolling and get your spirits high. Even in the midst of trouble, even in the midst of a sad day, you can still have joy and still have peace and still give somebody else something. I'm telling you, Dan, I know this to be true because all last year, COVID hit. It was the craziest time ever. And in the midst of COVID hitting, my father had to go and have surgery. And I thought for sure it was really going to take him out. And on top of that, we're having to deal with COVID, and they won't let anybody in the hospital or stay up there with my father. And I'm saying to myself, this is my guy. God, make a way for me to stay up there with him. I didn't care. I didn't care what was going on. I needed to get to my father, and I needed to make sure that he was going to be okay, because I needed to be a rock for my mother so that she could be okay. And God made a way. And in the midst of all of that, as I'm lying up there on the couch, as I'm looking at my father in the hospital bed, and I'm sitting up there, and I'm looking at him, and I'm saying prayers. I'm just speaking prayers. I'm thanking God. I'm speaking prayers. I'm thanking God. Not once did I ever question him and ask him and say, why this, why that, why this, why that. What I did was I took on the attitude of a thankful heart. I took on the mindset of a thankful mentality, and I started to speak thankfulness. I continuously said every single day that my father was laying in that hospital bed was, thank you, God. I give you glory. Thank you, God. I give you praise. Thank you, God. You're an awesome God. Thank you, God. And before I knew it, it was giving life and power to my father, and he was becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And they allowed my mom to come up to the hospital. Only 2 people could get into the room by this time. And now we're both just enjoying the moment because we know that God brought my father out. And we know that God was sustaining us and covering us in the midst of a pandemic and chaos. God was able to do exactly what he said he was able to do. The only thing we had to do was take on the victorious mindset. We had to speak positivity and not look at the situation and not look at the pandemic. We had to be wise, and we had to use knowledge. In the same sense, we had to believe that God was going to do what he said he was going to do. And that's exactly what we did. And in the imperfection of what's going on, we saw the perfection of what God was creating. A new birth, a new opportunity, a realigning, a refocus, a readjustment. And we just simply believed that he could do exactly what he said he was going to do. We spoke positivity, and we believed it.
And that's what you have to do. You know, we talk about the topic from today is staying positive in an imperfect world. This world will never be perfect. We will never be perfect. And the question is, how can you stay positive in an imperfect world? You pray. You speak positivity into the world, like you said. You know, you just keep believing. You keep on keeping on. You just keep pushing. My grandmother had 3 fights against cancer in her 90s. And I just prayed every time. God, bring her home. And he did. And I wanted her to get to 100. And she got to almost 101. And I just prayed about it. God, please. And I know that some people are sitting here this morning saying, Dan, I prayed and my mom died of cancer. Dan, I prayed and my dad died of COVID. Dan, I prayed and I didn't get the job I wanted. Dan, I prayed and my girlfriend cheated on me. And the only thing I can say to you is sometimes God calms the storm. And other times he calms the sailor. And I can't tell you why bad things happen to good people, but I don't think it's the right quote, because bad things happen to everybody. It's just we don't think about bad things happening to bad people because they're bad people and we think that they deserve them. Right? I don't think anybody deserves any type of pain. I don't wish pain on anybody. But we don't talk about bad things happening to bad people because we consider them bad people. Bad things happening to good people, that means more to us. But bad things happen to everybody. And, you know, they say the good die young, and I don't believe that. My grandmother was almost 101. I think the proper definition of that, at least for me, is the good die young, because when is a good time for the good to die? My grandmother was 200 years old. She'd still be too good to die. So I think that it's perspective. It's really thinking about, you know, because 2 of the things that you hear a lot, I just said them back to you, but in a different way. It's perspective. You know, I could be really mad that people steal my stories and question me and try to defame me and put me down. Or I could say, you know what? I'm obviously upsetting people because I'm doing a good job. And I'm obviously shaking some feathers, not on purpose, but I'm making people upset. How did he get there? And at the end of the day, I don't really care what people think. Because when I sat and I wrote the articles that I've written my whole life, I look at God and I go, am I good with this? Yep. And then I hit send. And when I get up on the show and I do a show, I say, God, am I good with this? And I hit send. And when I took a shot on the basketball court, I said, Daniel, are you good with this? God, am I good with this? And I took the shot. So, you know, I can honestly tell you that I don't know how to describe it, but I don't know how anybody lives in this world without God. And again, I know that people listening and watching, you have all different types of beliefs, and I welcome you all, because the God I believe in, even if you don't believe in him, he still tells you to sit at the table and have dinner with him and at least hear him out. So I would ask the same. And I just feel that staying positive in an imperfect world, it's the only choice. Because, as my grandmother would always say, what's the alternative, Daniel? Am I going to sit here and be depressed every day? Yeah, people are always going to steal work. People are always going to connive something. They're going to put things down. They're not going to apologize when they're wrong. I've had people say horrible things about me on social media. They never apologize. I've had people attack my character and attack my business and attack my credibility. They've never apologized. And they're never going to. So, am I living my life hoping for an apology? Am I living my life hoping for someone to, on the outside, to give me worth? Because I can promise you, if you're hoping for the world to define your worth, you will never, ever be satisfied. If you're hoping for strangers to tell you what you're capable of and what you're worthy of, you know, Juanita and I put those questions to God. We ask God what we're worthy of. We ask God who we are. We ask God to define us, with us. You ask the world to do it, that's a different beast. That is a different beast. God has never let me down. And I forget where I heard it yesterday or I saw it yesterday, but somebody said, like, no matter what you go through, like, he's always there. Like, he always shows up. And it's not the fact that he's whispering really low, it's the fact that you're not listening hard enough. And because I think sometimes he's screaming. So, this world can be many, many things. And it can do many, many things. But telling you your worth and telling you who you are and leaving your happiness to the world, asking the world if you're pretty, asking the world if you're handsome, asking the world if you're talented, asking the world if you're capable. Man, I'm going to sing for the rest of my life whether one person shows up to my concert or a million. I'm going to tell comedy whether one or a million. I'm going to do my broadcast whether one or a million. Because Juanita and I always say, if we change but one life, if we help but one person get through the day, if we do but one good thing by talking with each other publicly, then we've done our job. And I know Juanita and I have helped out many people. And all I can say is, every article I've written, every broadcast I've done, every song I've sung, everything that I've ever tried to give this world was good. And yeah, I'm frustrated, and yeah, I'm sad, and no, I'm not perfect, and yeah, I could have done things a better way, or whatever. But I've always, with every last breath that I've had, I've always tried to give the world my best shot. And I didn't do it for the world. I did it for God. I did it because he cares about this place. So do I. And I know that this place may not always love me, may not always like me, may not always support me, may not always be there for me. But they don't always support, like, love, or are there for God, and he gave it to them. So how can I ask the world to love me 100%? How can I ask the world to respect me 100%, to not lie, cheat, and steal, to not hurt, to not do bad things, if the world doesn't listen to God sometimes? I am but one person, but one person is who I am. And I believe that I can do good things in this world. I believe I have. And I believe that I will never stop trying. So it's not always easy. Juanita knows that. You've talked about it on the show before, the horrible things people have said about you. And I'm right there with you. But do I want to wake up today and remember all the horrible things that were said to me? Or do I want to wake up today saying, somebody woke me up, God. I have a ton of people that are there for me and love me. I woke up next to my dog, who is an incredible, incredible spirit. I get to do what I love, and I love what I do. I got to spend the last couple days having dinner with my parents and being around them. I got to talk to my best friend last night. I got a great surprise text message last night that put a huge smile on my face. And I'm talking to my sister right now about God on my show, on my time. So yeah, some people say some bad things about us every once in a while. Some people lie, cheat, and steal from us. Some people try to make us feel like we're not worthy. But are you going to wake up and think about those people who you're never going to eat dinner with and never going to lay next to and never going to talk to on the phone? Or are you going to think about the fact that You know, in my case, my sister's on the phone with me right now, spreading the good word of God on my show. And I can't help but fight back tears sometimes because she challenges me to be a better person every day. What are you going to focus on? That's how you stay positive in an imperfect world, because you decide to. And you come to terms with, this world will never be perfect. Once you realize that, and you realize that your positivity is your key to your lock, you'll get there. You can't be looking for a key your whole life. You can't be looking for the lock the whole life. And if you think this world is going to turn around and be perfect someday, you're never going to be happy. The way you stay positive in an imperfect world is by choosing to take control of your own life, do the best that you can, and go to sleep at night not looking for anyone's approval, but God's. So pray about it, think about it, feel about it, and then learn to let things go. Because you can only take a carry-on and a personal item on a plane. And a lot of us on the plane of life are trying to take baggage that can't even fit on a plane. Remember that.
You know, Dan, that's so beautifully put. And I think about this. Many are called, but few are chosen.
Yeah.
Many people are called, but only few are chosen. And the ones that are chosen, the light that's inside of them is shining extremely, extremely bright. And the only time it seems that people talk about is when you're making an impact, is when you're making a really, really, really big impact. You always know when your haters are cheering you on, because you hear the war cries, you hear the voices. It was always a beautiful thing for me when I went to the opposing team to play, because I knew that my cheerleaders were in the stands. It was beautiful because I knew that the people that didn't like our team was going to start cheering for us. And I knew that when I heard the cheers, it was a different perspective. It's all about how you think about this thing. It's all about how you want to see it. It's all about the perspective of how you look at it. I've often heard a coach say this: if I don't talk to you, that means that, okay, it's something that but if you hear me continuously motivating you and encouraging you and telling you things, that means that I'm trying to get you to do the right thing. Then if we don't hear our haters cheering us on, then if we don't hear our encouragers motivating us to keep going, then we're not doing anything. But when we hear the two, when we hear our haters cheering us on, when we hear our haters talking about us, I get so overwhelmed with joy, because I'm saying to myself, man, our haters are talking about us in places that we would never be talked about in. Now that's truly being a disciple. When your name and what you do can carry over into a place. Here's the thing: we didn't ask them to do it. We getting free advertisement, and it's a beautiful thing. You don't have to pay for that. It's a beautiful thing when your haters can take what you are doing, and you know that you're doing things in a positive way to affect someone's life, to change them, to stop thinking in a certain way, to start seeing themselves from a different perspective. When you're really motivating and you're really encouraging and you're really, getting on top of the skin, I don't want to say underneath the skin, but on top of the skin, they take through word of mouth and their feet and their energy, and they take it to another site, or they take it to another place, or they take it to another radio station, or they take it to another event or another place that we won't even probably ever go, or we probably have not been invited to. They take it there for us. Now that's the true sign of being an encourager. That's the true sign of being a great person and doing what you're supposed to do, because your haters are talking in places that you will never get a chance to be in. That's awesome. Now you have free advertisement. Now you have people that and here's the reality, right? when I put something out, I'm not putting it out because it's not something that I can say in the face of anyone. I'm putting it out because I want you to take what I say and carry it along. I'm not putting something out and I'm writing my name underneath of it because I want you to say, well, you know what? This came from so-and-so and I'm giving credit to. When you put something out, I'm not oblivious to believe that when I put a quote out, and yes, it's a download from God, that when I put a quote out, other people are not going to take it off the page and put it on their page and say, hey, this came from J. Ward the Encourager.
Yeah.
No, I expect them to take the quote off my page and put it on their page as if they said it. If I see that quote and I know that it's my quote that came from my brain, that God gave me a fresh download, right? And I see it, I say to myself, thank you, God, for sharing the gospel. Thank you, God, for getting the word out there so that people can see, so that they can become enlightened, so that they can become a different person. I am not a self-centered person where I say, well, that's mine and nobody else can touch it. If I put something out, I want it to go out. It's not about me because I know that man does not open a door. I know that God opens a door that no man can shut, and God closes a door that no man can open. I know that God gives me the blessings. I know that God will make a way. I know that God said that he will pour down blessings that I don't have room enough to receive. I know that he will open up a window of heaven and just shower them out to me. I know who I am. That's the reason why when people are talking about me, or haters are talking and they're cheering me on, I rejoice. I get so happy. Why do you think before Jesus died on the cross, as he was walking there, he was thanking God? He did have a big, huge cross to carry. But in the midst of it, he was thanking God. And I love what he said before he went on and died. He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. You cannot be successful without your haters. You cannot be successful without your cheerleaders. You cannot be successful without your motivators. You cannot be successful without your mentors. You cannot be successful without the people, the support group that you need. You need everybody in order to be successful, because if you don't know how to go through something, you won't know how to sustain it when you get it. So if people are talking in this imperfected world, that is the expectation. I expect you to do that. If I come into this world and I don't expect you to talk about me, I ain't doing something right. Excuse my imperfection of English. But I ain't doing something right. But what I do expect you to do is, when I put out something that I know is powerful and impactful, that I'm getting a fresh download, and I'm told and I'm given the okay to put it out there, I expect you to take it and run with it. Because now what you're doing is you're giving me free advertisement. You're talking about me in places that I probably wouldn't be able to go. You're talking about me to people that probably would never listen to me. That's the whole beauty of what we do with this thing called life. Jesus talked to tax collectors, and it was forbidden that he would do that. Jesus spoke with sinners, and it was forbidden that he would do that. But he saw something inside of them that they didn't see inside themselves. And the people that was talking about him, talking to them, he needed them to talk to other people about him, that he was talking to sinners, so that sinners like us could see that there is a God out there that's going to hear us. There is a God out there that's going to help us understand who we are. Even though we may be in a rut right now, even though we may be doing some things that's not right now, there is a God out there that cares about us enough, that loves us enough, that's going to help us, that's going to continue to give us his grace and his mercy. And one day we're going to change and see what he sees inside of us. But I can't do that unless I got my haters out there talking about me to other people. That's called free advertising. And I love it. So now, not only am I doing what I'm called to do, I'm also letting my light shine because I'm chosen to do this. Many are called, but only few are chosen. And the ones that are chosen have the sticks and the stones and the bricks and the rocks and the bulldozers and all those things thrown at them. And it doesn't feel good in the process of it, but Romans 8:28 says that it works out for our good. So as I stated earlier, know your value, know your worth. Set your morals high. Believe and supersede your expectations. Because you cannot be a warrior in this imperfect world unless you have your armor tightened.
And that was all said perfectly. in an imperfect world. You cannot be a warrior unless you have your armor tightened. And there's so much truth to that. Hashtag free advertising. Love it. And I appreciate it. And it's not always easy. It's not always fun. And, you know, it causes you to think about a lot of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's a blessing. And God kept on blessing me during it, after it, before it. And He'll keep on blessing me now. If you do things the right way, God keeps on blessing you. That's what you have to look at. You got haters talking, and if God keeps blessing you, then what they're saying ain't right. If God takes it away, then it's like, what's going on? So, you know, God is. I always know if I'm going in the right direction, and eventually figure that out. So, I could tell y'all out there that listen to Juanita's words and heed the call of getting out there in the water and understanding that sometimes God will calm that storm and other times He will calm you. And just trust that if your armor's getting tightened, it's because God believes in you to fight the battle that you're about to fight. And like Juanita said, when a coach stops talking to you, they stop believing in you. Coach gets on you, it's because they believe. My best friend pushes me every single day. Not because he's a jerk. Not because he's mean. He doesn't come at me with hate speech. He doesn't come at me with that trolling. He comes at me with love. But he always challenges me when he needs to. He doesn't do it just to do it, but he does it when he needs to. And he's not wrong. And I could be mad about it, but deep down I know that the people that love you will challenge you. They will affect you. Let them affect you. Let those that love you affect you. But God never spoke hate. God never put up nasty words. God never defamed or defaced or lied from somebody or stolen from somebody or cheated somebody. So if any of that stuff comes your way, it's not God. And if the message doesn't come from God, you ain't got to listen to it. Because I'm only concerned with the messages that come from Him. Those other messages in a bottle, I'm going to throw them back out in the ocean. And let God take care of that. As always, Juanita, you rock. And you change the game. And I appreciate you tremendously on and off the court, as you know. So thank you for all your words today. And as always, I send you my love and I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Dan. It's a blessing. Don't forget, I will succeed. It's a declaration, it's a decree. If you speak life, continue to speak life to yourself as well. Motivate and encourage, always uplift. It's not about the can. It's not about the succeed part. The seed means go. It's about the I will. That is your own willpower to get over and to do. Are you willing to take this chance? Speak on it, talk on it, believe it. Let's go.
Amen. We'll talk with you soon. God bless. That coming from Juanita Ward here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. Top Dog of the Week coming up. And for those of you ready for our Syracuse special, it will be up in just a moment. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand butter chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as on Facebook Live on facebook.com/live-now-dt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. All of it is inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Cafe Kubal there for you with 5 locations in our community. Go get your cup of coffee, chai, tea, whatever it may be today at Cafe Kubal, and obviously their snacks, their cold brew that you can grab and go. So much for you at Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, 208 North Townsend Street, where Cafe Kubal Co-works is as well, where you can rent out space for your business, record your podcast, and have some fun in their studio like Gene Waldron and I did a few weeks ago, and their newest location on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. It is now time to bring you the third of our trio of our TGIF segments, and that is the top dog of the week. And I need Lily's help for that. Top dog of the week for this week, proudly brought to you by K9 Camp Dog Daycare and K9 Kampground Dog Boarding, the place to bring your furry-loving friend when you have to have them go somewhere for the day, or if it's for the week or a few days, if you're going on vacation, renovating the house, whatever it may be. The top dog of the week comes to you from 2 fantastic places in our community that go above and beyond the call of duty when it comes to taking care of our furry-loving friends. At K9 Camp Dog Daycare on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, and right around the corner, K9 Kampground Dog Boarding for longer-term care for your dog at 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, both right off of Bridge Street in East Syracuse, so make sure you visit them today and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. My top dogs of the week this week are the people that don't get thanked enough. The lunch ladies, the lunch gentlemen, the garbage workers, teachers, the people that every single day do something for this community. Retail workers, how about them? How about the fact, the retail places that are open on the holidays? You think people at Target don't want to be home with their family? That they really desperately want to be out there on Black Friday? You think they want to be out there right after they have a turkey dinner? People at grocery stores, the Wegmans and the Publixes of the world, and so on and so forth, the Price Choppers, the Walmarts. I think about these people. Disney workers, because Disney never closes. Outside of a pandemic and 5 times during a hurricane, Disney doesn't close. Down in the great state of Florida. So, I want to thank all the people we don't thank enough. They're my top dogs of this week. They're my top dogs all throughout the year. Because retail, we expect a store to be open so that we can buy stuff. Well, somebody has to work. We expect a stadium to be cleaned when we go in it. Well, somebody has to clean it. We expect somebody to take our tickets, and we usually treat them like garbage, but somebody has to be there. Treat them better. We expect the grocery store to be open so that we can buy the things that we need. Somebody has to be there to open the doors and work that. We expect our trash to get picked up. Somebody has to pick up that nasty. We expect our mail to be here. Somebody has to deliver it. Think about the things in our daily life, right? I get up in the morning, or like our daily week. I expect my mail to come. I expect my trash to be taken. I expect when I go to a store for it to be open. I expect when I go to a restaurant for it to be open. I expect when I go to buy something for it to be open. I expect the roads to be paved. I expect the lights to work. I expect the cops to be out to help to keep us safe. I expect the bank to be open so I can put my money in the bank. But how many times do you thank those people? How many times do you go to Cafe Cubal and say thank you when you're getting yourself a coffee or a tea, getting one of my chais? How often do you go to Carvel and say thank you for your ice cream? How often do you go to Wildcat and thank the person that handed you your beer or your slice of pizza? How often do you go to Chick-fil-A Cicero's drive-thru and thank them for standing outside? How often do you go to Honda City of Liverpool and thank the people working on your car or thank the people that helped you find a car? How often do you go to Avicoli's and thank them for being open and serving you today, whatever you buy? How often do you go to Canine Camp Dog Daycare and thank them for taking care of your dog for the day? How often do you go to Pizza Man and thank them for handing you your to-go order or for turning the TVs on? How often do you drive out to Millhouse Market and thank them for their drive-thru that made things easier during COVID and always? How often do you go to Canine Kampground dog boarding and thank them for taking care of your dog to give you peace of mind when you're on vacation? How often do you go to Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory and thank them for their incredible smiles and their positive attitude? How often do you thank the bus driver? How often do you thank the pilot? How often do you say thank you to the people that you have just come to expect to serve you? And you just anticipate that they're there. Right? In order for your life to go smoothly today, those people got to be doing their stuff, right? But how often do you say thank you for them? Don't forget. And start doing it. Like today. We'll take a step aside for a fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Cubal studios. When we come back on Facebook and YouTube, you will be able to watch one of the greatest Syracuse basketball reunions that you've ever seen. Coming up next.
Avicoli's Restaurant, located right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road, is proud to be your local neighbor, growing with you for over 20 years. We're open 7 days a week for lunch, dinner, and drinks. For takeout, delivery, or catering, call us at 315-622-5100. When you order online and use our promo code AVS10, you will save 10% on your online purchase at myavicolis.com. And make sure to join us monthly for our live on-site broadcasts centered around Liverpool athletics. Avicoli's, your local, trusted neighbor right at the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road.
Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Kampground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Kampground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Kampground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Kampground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9Kampground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Kampground.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpassnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make your way out there, but before you do that, download their app on the Google Play and Apple App stores for free, where you'll have their entire menu at your fingertips, from their homemade breads and salads to their quinoa bowls, rice bowls, desserts, brick oven pizzas, and their sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our community and ingrained in our taste buds, they are open to you Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. in the general store, the restaurant, and the drive-thru. And on Sundays, all three of those pieces are open from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Supporting local and supporting incredible, incredible talent. It's so good, you look at it and you almost don't want to eat it because of how beautiful it is. Then you eat it and you realize that you're happy that you did, because as beautiful as it is, you can't help but give that to your stomach and then go back and get more. The Millhouse Market, my challenge to you is, when you find a favorite, how many times you replace that favorite, because so many great things are built with love and built with creativity and built with the community in mind, and absolutely are worth the drive every time to 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Welcome here to this wake-up call with Dan Tortora special from inside of the Cafe Cabal studios. I am joined on screen by a bunch of Syracuse love. We have Rex Trowbridge, Roosevelt Bowie Jr., Sonny Spira, Dale Shackelford, Brandon Reese, as well as Jimmy Lee, Gene Waldron, and Dennis Duval here with me this morning on Wake Up Call. Gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast. How's everybody doing?
Fantastic.
We're doing great.
Fantastic.
Super.
So I'm gonna do my best to round robin here, but we all know that, and from social media, I know that you guys have seen this and whatnot. There's negativity that we see with when it comes to Syracuse athletics.
No, no, I haven't seen it.
And so today's show is meant to be on the positive side and show the importance of this Syracuse family. So, Sonny, I'm going to start with you, because you and Gene did something cool, and I know some other people have kind of jumped onto it and whatnot. So, Sonny, you're very outspoken when you feel that people are being unfair to Syracuse, and I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, the most criticism comes from your quote best fans. Like, you know, it's like not outside, it's inside. I could see if Georgetown was bashing us or St. John's or, you know, Duke or Carolina, but it's our fans, and it's relentless. It's kind of always been, but you know, it's never been at this level. I think people have no boundaries. Like, they'll say and do anything. And the fact that they'll go after 18, 19, 21-year-old kids, like with a vengeance, like with a real serious anger, there's some issues, man. That's issues.
Gene, you put out a picture that you joined the transfer portal and decided to return to Syracuse. Tell me about that.
I loved it.
Well, you know, I was actually just sitting down and I looked across the room and I saw Syracuse 33 jersey sitting on a chair, and I was like, let me put this on. And I put it on, and my wife was like, I got an idea. Say that you're going for the transfer protocol. I was like, that's a great idea. So me and being silly, I thought, right, this is a good thing to try, and I did it. And then Sonny jumped on, and it actually blew up. But you know, it was just to have some fun. Give the people of Syracuse something to smile about and laugh about, especially with the things going on with people leaving.
Did you get any hits, Gene?
Huh?
Did you get any hits?
Oh, I got a lot of hits. People say keep telling me to stay in shape. I might have to come back.
Yeah,
I told them I ain't gonna pass the ball,
though. We had Rex, we had Shaq, we had a few other guys ready to come back.
The buffet is closed, Gene. There's no comeback for you.
That's for sure.
Oh, goodness. All right, we're going to Eric Santaford join us as well. Eric, what are your thoughts on things right now, and obviously having some positivity go towards Syracuse and navigate through this tough time that some of the transfer portal has created?
Well, first off, thank you for having me, and God bless you, my alumnus and all the people that are with us today. All being a part of the Orange family and part of my life. There's no disputing and arguing the success of the program, the success of Coach Boeheim. There's just no disputing that. You know, even when you talk about some of the victories that have been void, you know, he's still top 5, top 6 in terms of wins in the country. And you know, the current visibility and who we all are as alumnus is really a tribute to Coach Boeheim and the consistency and continuity and the talent level that has come through Syracuse in his 45 years. You know, let alone prior to that. I was thinking earlier about, you know, when was I, or when we were all introduced to Syracuse basketball, my initial thought was, I never heard about Syracuse basketball until Brendan Malone started recruiting me in probably the spring of 1979. I had no awareness, but then I thought about it. Growing up in Detroit or in the Ann Arbor area, with Dave, the great Dave being the star of the Detroit Pistons, I can remember watching him on UHF, you know, the KBD, and from Syracuse, you know, Dave Bing. And at that time, growing up, it meant nothing to me. I wasn't aware of Eastern basketball, and so the legacy that I know only deserves the ultimate respect, and the respect really goes to the quality of young men. You know, and I can only speak directly to those that I have had and interacted with, but it goes to the quality of young men that have come through the program.
Dennis, you just had a birthday here recently, so happy birthday to you.
Yeah, I'm probably the oldest guy on the call. I'm still here. I'm still here. That's all that counts. But tell us that them dog. That's his dogs over there. That's Gene's dogs barking at all of us. But you know, my position has always been that the history of Syracuse Orange and the family that we all become are a direct reflection of the program, people that they sought to bring into the program. And Boeheim, and it has a lot to do with that, whether he was assistant, like when Jimmy and I were there, or whether he was the head coach. And a lot has to do with the fact that, our program has a lot of history. And whether someone stays or whether someone leaves, at some point in time, they were part of that. Now, everybody's situation is different. And these people that Sonny's referring to, these fans, they got to get a life, man. There's a lot of reasons why kids leave. Some for personal reasons. They don't know the reasons why the kids choose to go somewhere else. And you have to give them that freedom. You look at how many kids go to college and don't stay the first year, and they transfer out and go to another school. I mean, there's so many damn reasons why, that could affect these kids and why they feel like they need to go somewhere else. Doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the program. It doesn't mean that, that someone has done something wrong. And they just, a lot of it's, a lot of the fan issues, it's about them. It's a little bit selfish at times. You have to understand, like Sonny said, these are 18, 19-year-old kids, and they're making choices. They're making life choices that they honestly think is the right choice. And people need to look back when they were 18 and 19. Did they make every great choice? No. Whether it's good or not is up to them. We're not the judge of that, and neither should the fans be the judge of it. You know what? Support the program. Support the players that are there. Keep being great fans, but don't judge these kids. There's over 1,000 kids in this sport right now. You know what? Why should Syracuse be any different? It affects all of us.
Right.
You know what? You got to accept it, and you got to move on. And this is life in college basketball right now, and it's looking right at us. And you know what? It is what it is, man.
Brandon, you played on the team more recently. What can you speak to the narrative that there is no loyalty in more current basketball, since a lot of people like to speak for the current players?
I mean, I remember I was testing the waters myself. I came in as a recruited walk-on. I got a scholarship, but you're 19, 20 years old. You want more playing time. You think you know better. You want to get into a higher position up, but you're playing against top guards in the country. You're playing against really high caliber players. And, this was not at the point where we're at now, where it's just, the accessibility to move and travel between team to team, player to player. There's a lot more of, individual prowess for the player themselves. There's a lot more ownership of where they can go, what they can do. So it's not just new for the players, it's new for the fan base. It's new for the coaching staffs everywhere. But, to speak off my own example, it came down to, I'm a kid from South Florida. I still didn't know much about Syracuse besides that 2003 championship. But once I got here, I knew the opportunity I got, the respect I got, earning a scholarship, by my second year, and just continuously having the respect of the coaching staff to really give my input in practice from what I did with the scout teams and the practice teams every day. I really took it on as a prestige that, I'm getting this at this program, that once you're there, this is a top 5 program. So I think it's tough again for these kids, 18 to 22 years old, to zoom out and see a bigger perspective of like, oh, wow, the place you're at, what you're doing. But, like what a lot of these guys attested to before, they kind of got to make up their minds themselves and find out what's best for them, because, a lot of kids in the basketball programs don't come from the greatest backgrounds. They find a way to be the most financially stable and situated, especially when their value and where they can make the most money may not be in professional sports, but
Brandon, sorry, go ahead. Had you muted there for a second.
Yeah. Just going off of, these kids trying to find out what the best choice and decision they can make at the time. And, they're the most valuable for their data, for, the value they can bring to society at that age. So trying to find out where they are and figuring themselves out is a whole different ballgame. So I'm glad they can move much more freely. And, we just got to get the fan base on board with the education that these kids are coming from different backgrounds. And they got to understand that they need to do what's best for them too at the end.
Rosie, you got a big old smile right now. What are your thoughts on this current world of, this team? I think people forgot they just advanced to the Sweet 16. And granted, I put them there in the bracket. I thought they would get to Houston and lose to Houston, which they did. But this is a team that just made it to the nation's final 16, and not even a week later, fans are ready to jump off a cliff. What do you think?
I have a theory. My theory is that, first of all, thank you, gentlemen. Good to see you all, part of the family. My theory is this. I've always, the toughest thing, I made a note, the toughest thing for me as a college athlete, the toughest thing was I had to understand that what was written about me in the media, they're not my friends. It's media. That's their job to write about what's going on. And the other thing you got to understand that the most important thing about what's going on is what happens between myself, the coaches, and my teammates. So we're never, I had to focus on not looking on outside what happened, but focus on what we needed to do, but make sure that we were all good with one another. We all got along well together. And as far as that goes, we're still friends. I'm friends with all of them to this day. And just to keep everybody on the outside, wonder if people on the inside know what's going on.
Your thoughts here is Gene's dogs have a lot of thoughts today, but your thoughts?
Yeah, my wife had to go out of town, so they keep thinking she's coming back. But she ain't
Your
coming
dogs
back.
are driving my dogs crazy right now.
So, Jimmy, what are your thoughts on what's been going on? I mean, this is an interesting world we live in, and in a social media world, which obviously wasn't there when you were playing. Didn't have to worry about the fact that all of these opinions can follow you outside of the dome, but it is an everyday thing that people are talking about the transfer portal, talking about wins and losses, talking about Jim Boeheim should play man-to-man. We hear these things all day long, every day. If you're in Syracuse, this is a 365 thing.
I know, as we all know, there's more problems in this world than kids should quit to schools. We all know that. And, like with Rex, Dennis, myself, we never really had to worry about social media, thank God. I mean, I feel bad for these kids. They can't do anything. I mean, everything is recorded. But if the kids want to leave, they want to leave. And like Dennis stated earlier, nobody knows their situation. And we all know that fans think they know what they're talking about, but, you know, they're good at what they do, cheer, but they don't know the inner sanctums like Rosie was just talking about. And I'm sure it was the same with Rex, but I know with Dennis and I and the guys we played with, we had 15 guys and we were all like best friends. I mean, we did everything together. And I think that's why our teams, without having many big guys, I mean, not you, Rex, because you were before us. but you know, like, we won games that we shouldn't have, but because we were all friends. We got along together. We're still, you know, we still get along. And yeah, I'd hate to be those kids. I mean, these kids, they can't do anything by themselves. I mean, they're under the bubble from everything. And I mean, it's not like Syracuse is the only school that is in the transfer portal. They're all going. I had a friend of mine that told me that lives down in Carolina. He said that that's probably one of the underlying issues with that Roy Williams just said, you know, I've had enough because I can't deal with this. I can't deal with pay to play. Can't deal with a lot of this stuff. And now whether that's true or not, but he said that's what the scuttlebutt is down there. So I think Carolina's having the same problems that probably every school in their own community is having the same things that you're seeing here. Just people want to voice their opinions. And I know Sonny's on Facebook all the time because I signed up for it a few years ago, but I don't know how to use it. So I don't follow any of that stuff. And when it's my birthday, my wife says, Jim, you should maybe check on this. He goes, what? He goes, well, there's a couple hundred people that wish you happy birthday. He goes, well, how do I get into it? What do I do? Thumbs up. So I check it once a year, and I'm way behind the times on that, and I wish I never signed up for it. But I do know that Sonny is like the ace on that, and that Rex is not far behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel sorry for all these kids. I mean, because they can't do one single thing. And
yeah,
I mean, back in our day, I mean, there wasn't we were lucky enough to be on TV once a year. You were on the ECAC game of the week. I don't know what it was with you, Rex, but I don't remember watching any games in Binghamton when you were playing. So I'm not sure if you got on, but
yeah,
and we didn't have you know, if you're lucky enough to get a hold of a paper, you could read about what they said, but I don't remember reading anything except for the Daily Orange when I was at school. So I don't know if people were getting on us. I don't know what they were saying. Not that I cared, but it's different, and I feel bad for the kids.
Dale, you and I have had a lot of conversations over the better part of almost a decade now. What can you say? And now, I mean, you're coaching again, and you're dealing with the youth of today. So what is the message to them, and how do you handle the fact that we live in a world right now where everyone has an opinion about how to coach every play, every official's call? I mean, officials used to be able to go home and be left alone, and you know, they would get booed for 2 hours. Now they get booed every second of the day. So, I mean, I've seen this from the official, the coaching, the player standpoint.
These guys be mellow and mild and stuff. You know, I've got a lot of choice words for these fair weather fans. And, you know, my whole opinion is this. You know, when I was in school, if something was written bad about our team in newspapers, I didn't talk to the damn reporters after that. Either you're for the team or you're not for the team. But Tony Bruin said something the other day. These kids are recruited by these schools for a lot of different situations. The school atmosphere, the camaraderie with the players, the fans coming in the stands and watch the games, and they were not able to experience none of that this year. Because of COVID, all those things were shut down for all these kids. So they never got those experiences. They never got a real good college experience. And I don't know who's in their ears telling them that it's going to be better somewhere else or the grass is greener on the other side, but everybody in the country went through the same thing. There's a lot of top teams in the country that lost players this year. Okay, Syracuse wasn't the only players. But there again, I'm playing on a team with the coach's son, and the coach doesn't yell at his son for doing something wrong, then I'm going to yell at his son. I'm not going to blame the kid for it. I'm not going to get mad at the coach for it. Some of these guys got to stand up and speak for themselves and not worry about what's going on with everybody else. If I'm competing with somebody in practice, I'm coming at you every day in practice, and I'm going to prove to the coach that I deserve to play. I'm not going to run and hide. I'm not going to avoid the competition. Now, I'm going through the same thing down here in Florida. These kids down here, they can go to a different high school every year. We had 2 seniors out of the 15 kids on our team, and we start a open workout, and we've got one kid that shows up, and we hear that these other kids are practicing with other teams or working out with other teams. So this is where you're letting these kids transfer with no penalties. If they're being subsidized one way or another, cash in their pocket, family getting houses, cars, or whatever, then, you know, so be it. But everybody's got to be on the same playing field. Coach Boeheim is doing the best he can with the coaching staff he's had. He's done great over the years. A lot of players have left over the years, and Syracuse has still done well. But me personally, to any of the fans out there, if you got an argument about Syracuse basketball team or Syracuse basketball players, be man enough, woman enough, or whatever, step to the face of the person or step to my face and let's talk about it. All this behind the back social media stuff is not getting anybody any good. It's just getting people pissed off. And fortunately, this is an afternoon show, and I can't really say what I want to say. But please, if you want to criticize somebody, open your closet, see what you got hanging in your closet, and then you can criticize.
Fair words coming from Dale about the fair weather fans. I like that. Rex, what are your thoughts on everything that goes on in today's world of athletics that we all have to deal with, and forget that these are kids? Not only are they kids, but, you know, I mean, I had a coach look me in the eye and say to me, and this a guy in his 40s, he said, my mother reads all the articles. And it just hit home with me so much that, I mean, like, I always felt like you don't talk about, you can constructively criticize, where, like, I would say it about, like, Frank Howard. I would say, you know, I think Frank could do this and this better from what I'm seeing, but I respect this. And I wrote it in such a way where it was like, I really want him to be good and I want him to excel. And this is what I'm seeing. And then after the game, we would hug, talk, you know, and we respected each other, because there's a way to talk to someone where you want to see them do better versus just dragging somebody on the coals. So what do you think about everything, Rex?
Well, I have a whole lot of random thoughts. I'm probably furthest away time-wise from active participation in sports from any of you guys here. But once you've played at Syracuse, whether you've gotten a lot of splinters, as I often did, or whether you started and were a star, I think most of us bleed orange and have a loyalty to the school and to the program. And to the coach, who, by the way, was a classmate and teammate of mine. I remember Jimmy as a walk-on in 1962, and I am fascinated by the notion that here's a guy who came in and 50 and almost 60 years ago and just never left. But I think it's kind of a confluence of things, and as I look at a couple of my thoughts on the transfers, I guess the transfer portal, my thought was, do we have an unusually large number of transfers? If so, maybe the AD ought to take a look at that and find out, how do we compare to other schools, and is there something going on? Or is this just the new normal? This was a crazy year. The transfer portal, as I understand it, is a one-time deal and the one year of additional eligibility. So this is kind of a crazy year, and it's hard to judge from what happened here, except that they probably might want to look with curiosity both for the men's and the women's program, which I understand has a whole lot of people in the transfer portal. Is this an unusually large number, and why are the kids looking at other opportunities? Kids, as someone said, want playing time, and if they're not getting the playing time and they think they ought to be getting it, well, they may well look for some of those other opportunities. Some of the acrimony that we've seen among the fans on the Facebook and so on, Syracuse has, in a way, always been kind of a tough place to play. Tough in the sense that fans can be fickle. I think I have read that New York City is a tough place for professional athletes because the fans, while they can be loyal, can also be very, very tough. And I think we often see in Syracuse a lot of that New York City influence in terms of how they support their team and how if they don't agree with it. I can recall watching Chuck Richards being one of my teammates that some of you may know, making a mistake on the court, running down the court and giving a universally known gesture to the fans who were booing him because they could be a little bit tough in that respect. But talking about young kids doing things for their own reasons, I remember when I was recruited, I was 17 years old, 17 when I started at school. And people say, well, why did you come to Syracuse? Because I was recruited by quite a number of other schools. And people, when I tell them the real story, they can't believe it, but it's true. I came up for my recruiting trip on a beautiful spring weekend after all of the nubile co-eds had been hidden in their winter vestments for the entire year, and they were just busting out all over. And here I am, a 17-year-old kid, looking at all of these co-eds on campus, and I thought, man, this is the place for me. People say, no, that's not really true. And I say, I'm sorry to tell you, that was probably the reason. So young kids make decisions for reasons that are not always good reasons, but they're going to do what they're going to do. And when they have the opportunities, I've also heard, and again, you guys are probably closer to it, AAU ball, grassroots basketball was nothing back in the 60s. I'm not even aware of it. I've read some books. Play Their Hearts Out was a book that I read a while ago, talking about some contemporary experiences with AAU. And a lot of people, I have heard, blame AAU for some of the problems and the travel team mentality where kids don't practice, they don't learn skills, and they don't develop loyalty to a team. It's all about showcasing their own individual talent. And that culture, my impression is, can sort of find its way into other programs when you're dealing with kids, every one of whom thinks he should be a star and should start and so on and so forth. But now kids have options that we didn't really have, 50 something years ago. And there was a different culture. We didn't switch from high school to high school. You played in a high school, you were coached there, maybe you went to camps and developed skills and so on. But it was, I think, kind of a different world back in the day. And then I hear kids today are different, that they're not coachable. Again, you guys are closer to it than I am. I don't know whether that's true, but it is kind of a different world. It is disheartening. And Sonny had a post, I think, on today on Facebook talking about the acrimonious. And it's not just Syracuse, it's other schools as well. I think Ohio State, after they lost, they had an incident, and Michigan had kids getting literally threatened after they lost. That's really disheartening. And someone had replied on the thread that these were probably people who had never played ball, who didn't understand that, you're going to make mistakes in sports. My challenge as a young athlete was getting my head out of my ass after I made a mistake. And I don't think anybody is aware of the mistake they make more so than the athlete who made it and feels worse about making it. So these people who want to start ripping into young kids who, drop the ball or throw a pass away or something like that, it's just unbelievable to me. And as it was pointed out, I really question whether any of them have played ball. So I don't know what the answer is in terms of, we're seeing the transfer portal having gotten quite a bit of notoriety, but it's I don't know what it means to Syracuse and whether we're any different than any other school. I suspect that we're not.
Yeah, and this transfer portal obviously is creating something different, especially with COVID giving a free year in the ACC, saying you could travel in conference now. These conferences saying that coaches can't necessarily tell you where to go. So Sonny, I want to go around the room with everybody here. Once again, here with Sonny Spira, Rex Trowbridge, as well as Roosevelt Bowie Jr., Jimmy Lee, Brandon Reese, Dale Shackelford, Gene Waldron, Eric Santaford, Dennis Duval, all here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios to show, dare I say it, something positive on the internet. Sonny, you get to answer this question first of everybody in the room as we go back around the horn. Would you choose Syracuse again, and why?
17, 18-year-old, I'd choose it in a heartbeat. All the things that to me were important, came true, and I still would have probably had similar doubts when I was there. I still would have had some of the same, self-questions. But yeah, I would have chosen it in a heartbeat. But I just want to say one thing. These kids should have the right to transfer. This shouldn't be something new. If a kid wants to transfer, they should transfer. The fact that we hold these kids to certain, limitations, I don't think that's fair. I think the kids should be able, coaches can leave. I think kids should leave. I'm sorry, but and whatever their reason is, like Dennis clearly stated, they have whatever reason they want. God bless them. Wish them well. That's all.
Dennis, you heard Sonny mention you here, and we're going to unmute you here so you can give your thought. But what is your take on it? And would you choose Syracuse again, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. I would choose it again, without a doubt. The fact that I had other factors why I came here. I mean, not just myself, but some other closeness to home. I had a half brother that went to Oswego State, who was a year ahead of me. But the fact of the matter is, it was my choice. And you know what? Every day I'm living it still. It's probably the best choice I made in life. But the fact of the matter is, like everyone else said, coaches can leave and do whatever they want. The student athlete is the most restricted person in America. You got to look at it that way. Every guy on this call right now is governed by the NCAA. There's nothing in America that controls people more than the NCAA. You think about that. Every one of us is still governed by the NCAA about what we can do and what we can't do. I don't know of any entity that controls people more than that, if you really think about it. There's certain rules we still have to follow. We're not student athletes anymore. We're former athletes. We're former alumni. but we're still controlled by that entity. Well, so as far as these kids are concerned, and being able to leave, it's too restrictive. It's too restrictive. The NCAA didn't have any problem with all the COVID and all the pandemic to have that tournament this year. They know what they missed from a dollar perspective last year, and they weren't going to miss it again. These kids are all part of, whether the first kid on the team or the last one sitting on the bench. They're all part of that. They all contribute to that. So I have some different economic reasons why, I have some angst about, why kids shouldn't be able to, to lead. I think the best thing in the interest of our program is that when they do make that decision is to support them, not be against them, support them, wish them well. Just like any family, we all don't get along. We all see things differently. And if we go a different path, that don't mean you don't support them. And I think the best thing the coach has done is be positive and wish them well. And we should be able to do the same, and the fans should be able to grow up and do the same also. I mean, everything's not going to go your way. You don't get everything you want in life, and fans get, a little bit over the top when you buy a ticket sometimes. I'm a fan too of the program, but I still respect the kids that are 18 years old playing there, for whatever reason, and choosing Syracuse.
Now, coming from Dennis Duval, Gene, you and I got to speak very recently about a lot of different things. We were talking about Kadari and his future, and being someone that comes from the borough area and respecting that, what Pearl did, what you've worked to do, and everything. And we're going to bid adieu to Sonny. I know that he had to go this morning. We appreciate him being here with us. But to look at this, Gene, we spoke so highly of Kadari, and this could be another coming of that, that island basketball player, and just something that's different about, the borough area. And now Kadari is going away. Would you choose Syracuse if you had the choice again, and why? And just maybe make a note on how quick the world changes with the transfer portal, when you and I were just speaking about Kadari right before the Houston game.
When I was thinking about making my decision to come to Syracuse, I had to look at the situation. Who was playing in front of me? Where was I going to get my opportunity? And what was my education going to look like? And I was fortunate enough to have one person ahead of me, which was Eddie Moss, who was the great Eddie Moss, bless his heart, who was leaving. And I was able to come in and play right away. And even before that, learn from one of the greatest that ever played at Syracuse at the position of point. So it was really an easy decision for me. And then also, you had to carry a dome, and I was going to be close from home. And it wasn't all about Coach Boeheim. For me, it was, some of the assistant coaches who really showed a great interest in me, and the fact that they were going to stay on me about making sure I get to class, because that wasn't one of my strong points. So if I had to do it all over, I would definitely have picked Syracuse. And, for me, with this transfer thing, I'm not so big on it like some of the other people here, because, I believe in let's fight for some minutes. Let's compete, because the grass is not always green on the other side, and I'm always going to wish them well. But, sometimes leaving just not always the answer. When I was at Syracuse and Pearl was coming in, that was going to be a problem for me. But not once did I ever think about, I'm going to leave. I just decided, I'm going to fight, and we're going to become teammates, and we're going to play together, and we're going to get through it. I wish the kids all over the country who are leaving, but sometimes the grass is not green on the other side, and I'm sorry to say that, but that's a fact.
That coming from Gene Waldron. Mr. Lee, if you had the choice to choose Syracuse again, would you, and why?
That's 4 years of my life so far. But I kind of was like Gene. I mean, I went up to a lot of games only because my brother Mike played. And who knows, if he would have went to a different school, I'm not so sure I would have went up and watched in those years. And I got to watch his team as a freshman, and I watched Dennis play as a freshman, and everybody there. But I went down, I took all kinds of notes to see if, number one, my goal was to I wanted to start as a sophomore. And I thought I had it all tabulated out the right way. I just didn't take into account that when Mark was a senior, they moved him from forward to guard. Other than that, my plan would have worked. But Mark Waddick, I'm talking about, good friends. And the funny thing is, Mark always said, "Oh, I knew every game." He goes, "When I was a senior at the 8 minute mark, I was coming out no matter what, and you were going in." He goes, "Well, what's wrong with that?" But I would have, if Mike would have went somewhere different. Basically, I'm at Syracuse because my brother Mike. If he would have went somewhere else, I don't know if I ever would have stepped into Manley Fieldhouse, because I would have, wherever he would have went, I probably would have went to watch him play. Who knows? But I'm here. Hey, it's 40 some years later, I'm still here. So I didn't think I'm not from here, but if anybody hasn't read the book that Rex mentioned, Playing Your Hearts Out, you got to read it. It's a great book. And but when you read it, you're going to think it's like, because when I read it, I thought all of the stuff I thought about shoe companies and what they were doing was true. And when you read this, and a guy from Sports Illustrated, I believe, right, Rex?
I think he was, I believe.
Right, he wrote it, so he knew all the ins and outs and followed this team. But it began with following a sixth grader around. And the sixth grader, he was going to be the greatest thing in the world. The sixth grader quit growing, though. And the funny thing is, I gave the book to my brother Mike, and all of a sudden, I called him after he goes, "Mike, you know that guy?" He goes, "He either played at New Mexico or New Mexico State, and now here he's the biggest kid in the world at sixth grade. He was a backup guard. He quit growing like when he was in eighth grade." And so you never know what's going to happen with these kids you start so young. But it's we didn't have to worry about that back in our era. But yes, I made a great decision to come to Syracuse, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Coming from Jim and Lee, Mr. Santifer, if you had the choice to choose Syracuse again, would you do it, and why?
Absolutely. For those that on your listening audience that don't know, I have an upcoming book, Everyday God, Promises Made, Promises Kept. And one of the themes throughout the book in my student athletic experience is that if I had to do it all over again, I would select Syracuse 10 times out of 10. And I want to keep this positive. This is despite my contentious relationship with Coach Jim Boeheim. I got a great deal of respect for him as my basketball coach, as I'm listening to everybody. And the important thing is about playing time. And I can only speak subjectively, objectively about my period of time. And there's two people that I really want to point out. And the first is my roommate and probably my closest mate during my student athletic career, Tony Bruin. Many of you will remember that Tony Bruin was a top 10 national recruit when we came into Syracuse, 1979-80. Where was I? Someplace in the next 200 or 300. I played 30 minutes a game as a freshman. There were sometimes Tony didn't see the court. And through humility, diligence, and commitment to the program, he became one of the most recognized and greatest players in program history, and has a presence that's just unbelievable. My second example, in terms of when you talk about what the proto is, people going into there and transferring, and how invaluable in playing time is. You know, another one of my teammates for 2 of my 4 years was Dan Chase. Dan Chase had a great senior year. And I don't know if Roosevelt Bowie is still online with us. But what most people don't realize is Dan Shea's minutes were almost nothing for 3 years playing behind Roosevelt. And when I came as a freshman, the goal was Dan's going to be the three. They're going to go large with Roosevelt, Louis, and Boo up front, and Dan. And it just athletically, it didn't work. You know, I played more minutes in my first year and a half than Dan played in his career. But there's times and people that rank Dan's career ahead of mine. again, I'm keeping this positive. My point is, both Red and Danny were committed to the program, whatever their reasons, geographically, loyalty to the program, to a coach, and they both became esteemed and recognized alumnus of the basketball program. Back to directly answering the question whether I would come back. You know, my situation, and I mentioned it earlier, was I had never really heard or acknowledged Syracuse University until Brendan Malone started recruiting me. But then I had to realize, I heard, you know, they being from Syracuse growing up. Syracuse was my third visit out of 6. And when I left Syracuse University on that Saturday or that Sunday morning, headed back home, my decision was made. I had 3 more visits. I was coming to Syracuse. I was going to play as much as I played, without a doubt. And again, as I write in my journey, I have never said to anybody that I wished I played anywhere else and for any other coach. And I have a pretty contentious relationship with Coach Boeheim. But I wish never since the day I set foot on that campus, and there was a point that I was going to transfer, but it wasn't about playing time or Boeheim directly. I've never said that I wanted to or I wish I'd played anywhere else and for any other coach. And I think that's significant. And the share that I just shared about Tony and Danny is the epiphany of patience, of commitment to a great program. You know, and again, I love Tony. You know, Tony was a top 10 recruit. He could have, after the first year, especially in this current culture, came in and said, "Oh, I'm not playing." And again, he didn't even start sophomore year until he was handed my position midway through the season. You got to remember, Mike Sheehy left because he couldn't get minutes. Not that he didn't, he couldn't get minutes. I'm just being honest with you. He couldn't get minutes. So, you know, when you hear about cadre as people and you hear the advocacy of some of the alumni saying, hey, you should hang in there, the merit, and for me, just subjectively, and the people that I played with, I can't comment on anybody else, but Dan and Tony prove that patience, commitment, and loyalty to the program. You know, again, I don't mean to say this sparingly. I played more minutes in a year and a half than Dan played his whole career, and there's rankings that have Dan Chase ranked as a better career student athletic basketball player than me. Go think it. Patience, diligence, and you know, just again, it was my third visit. I canceled the rest of my visits, and I have absolutely no regrets. And you know, the one thing that I've heard thematically, what everybody has said, and the thing that is the essence of what's happening today is playing time. And fortunately, by God's grace and talent and what I brought to the table, I never had to worry about that. My experience and time as a student athlete or a basketball student out of Syracuse University, and I don't know if this is a comment to the recruiting, but my playing time at the 2-3 was never threatened until Raphael Addison walked in the door. And he competed and challenged me as an athlete more than anything else. But during my entire time, and I've heard people say, oh, it's about playing time. Let's be competitive. My entire playing time was never threatened at Syracuse University. And that's what it's about. Kids come from programs where they're the guy, they're the person, same with young lady, And then you get into an ultra competitive situation where you want to play. Fortunately for me, the dream wasn't the next level. Again, I write about it in my journey. I wasn't talking about the NBA. So, you know, that never impeded me. But playing time for what most young men think as the next portion of their journey, or people think of the next journey, playing time is in essence. Patience, unfortunately, is not a virtue. And as much as patience is the virtue, but boom, that's all I got to say.
For you, Rosie, would you do it all over again? Would you don the orange once again with the Louie and Bowie show rise if you could go back in time and have a second chance at it? Would you do it again?
Oh, first of all, it was funny because I never visited university. I visited other schools. I went to Georgia Tech. I went to Duke. And after going to Georgia Tech, and then I went to Duke, and I saw the girls in bikinis on campus. And my mother said I had to graduate. So I was like, I'm going to Syracuse. If I go to Duke, I'll flunk out in 2 weeks. I don't need any distractions. But then I met Dale Shackelford at basketball camp, and he came through wearing a pair of green shorts and a pair of green fishing boots with 45 kids following him. And I just looked, I was like, wow, that's the Pied Piper right there. Then I came back home, and the easiest thing for me was I realized that I wanted to play close to home, and I was looking at St. Bonaventure and Syracuse University. And only problem was Coach Boeheim wasn't the head coach, so I'm holding out. And then my coach comes up with a newspaper and says, Coach Boeheim, new head coach of Syracuse University. We walked right through school, called Coach Boeheim on Wednesday. On Thursday, he came to our school, and I came to the Kendall, and I signed. Now, it was so funny because there was a game just maybe I think it was a year and a half ago. I was walking down the hill going towards the entrance to the Carrier Dome. It had to be 17 degrees. The wind was blowing about 15 degrees up the hill. And I remember thinking, who the heck would, and before I was going to say who the heck would go here, and I started laughing. I said, I would, and I'd do it again. The weather made no difference to me. It was the people that I was around. So, yep, that's it. I would do it again, wouldn't think about it. And this time it would be a decision that I made, not that, the circumstances.
Rosie, I'm going to stick with you for a second because we've spoken so much about the positivity that you've had toward the program every single year, and just wishing them the best and trying to see a silver lining. And you and I have talked about a lot of the arguments that people have come up with, and you've responded to those. Just what you could say to the fact that it's kind of like Boeheim and the team are always on a hill, and there's always somebody running up with pitchforks and knives and torches, and they've always got to defend it. Those guys go down the hill, and then he turns around and they're coming up the other side. Just what you could say about that, because it seems to be a normalcy now.
You know what? It's kind of funny. Now, it's just so you're clear, the people that are always that are constantly throwing stones at the program and hiding behind the facade that they're fans, they're not fans. I'm not sure what they are. They're something, but there's something different. If you're a fan of the program, and I'm a fan of the program, so when I look at a game, I see positive things that happen. I see where they can improve. And never once in my mind do I think about throwing stones at a program that for all intents and purposes, everybody thinks they know so much because Coach Boeheim put that quality program in front of them. So it seems kind of funny to me that I'll say it again. I don't have anything negative to say about the program because I'm a fan of the program. I like to see what they do. I like to see them be successful. And if they're not successful, I like to try to think about what I can do to help out. But those that are always throwing stones at the program, I got a news flash for you. Don't call yourself a fan of the program. You're not a fan. You're just somebody there's a word. I don't know what the word is. I don't know if you're looking for notoriety or by being disrespectful to players or a program. But I can't see it. I can't even make myself do it, because if you're looking for the best for a program, only the positive things come out of your mouth. I just can't see it. If the negativity's coming out, I don't know where it's coming from, and not particularly interested. I'm not a big Facebook guy to out there and talk about things on Facebook. I believe in the program. You look into the program.
Dale, you heard Rosie talk about your wardrobe choices when he saw you on campus, and that you had 45 people following you. So, I mean, Shaq, you and I are like family. So tell me about your entourage and tell me about your clothing choices, and would you have chosen Syracuse again, coming from Utica?
Well, first of all, I would definitely have chose Syracuse again. Reason being, close to home, gave my mom especially, and my brothers and sisters and friends an opportunity to come watch me play. Also, I was sold on Syracuse as a freshman in high school. I watched Dennis with Syracuse when they played in the NIT down in Madison Square Garden. And, I was sold on Syracuse then. But, my whole thing was that I had great coaching growing up as a kid. I was always taught, especially by my father, to give 100% effort and to.
Oh, Dale, we lost you for a sec. Hold on a second. Dale, hold on, let me see here. Dale, can you hear us? We lost you for a sec. Can you hear us, Dale?
Yeah, I'm here. Every day in practice, I knew that, there was guys that were waiting to, take my position or, just to get playing time. And we competed every day. And, as Eric said, you don't worry about your playing time, but, we worried about playing time every day. And as far as, my wardrobe and that, I dress for the occasion. If I had to entertain the kids at camp, that's what I did. If I'm going out to have a couple cocktails with the boys, I dress a little more casual. And when I'm going to play golf this afternoon, I have my shorts and a nice polo shirt on and a baseball hat. So, dressing is, something that, I enjoy doing, and I love all the different occasions. But, Syracuse, was my very, very best choice I could have ever made. I had a great 4 years at Syracuse. I had a great 50-something year life at Syracuse, because even now, as everybody says, we're still one big family. And I'm glad that I've been able to, reconnect with Eric over social media, which, that part of social media has been great for me, because I've connected with a lot of people that I haven't talked to or seen in years. So for me, social media is good. And if you don't listen to the other garbage on social media, you'll be okay.
Coming from Dale Shackelford, I know, Rosie, you got to hop out, so I appreciate you as always, and I'll talk with you soon. And Brandon, I want to go to you here. If you had another choice, if you could do it all over again, would you do it? Would you come to Syracuse? Would you take the chance? Oh, we got you. Hold on, Brandon. We got you. There you go. Can you hear us? Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I've never thought, when you look back after the 4 years going there, had no idea. I just saw a pamphlet that said it looked like a city somewhere with the dome. And I was like, oh, this place looks like there's a city. There's stuff to do. It's going to be great. And it's snowing by October. By the time I get there, I'm like, oh, shit. Like, this is going to be, what am I doing here? I'm walking up the hill by myself in the snow. And then, playing in front of 30,000 people, getting to play in the Garden, scoring, Madison Square Garden, your first trip there. I mean, you just can't beat experience like that. I mean, I just see myself in the reflection here glowing, And then in terms of the program, that gets to come with it. You can't beat that. I got to go up against, Deion Waiters, Michael Carter-Williams. And, for me as a guy who wasn't getting much time, it was like, this is the time I do get. This is practice, every set, every rep to get better. I mean, luckily, I had a little bit of a zoomed out perspective to say, we all had a dream to play professionally, take it to that next level. What can I do here every day? I don't know if I transfer out, I'm going to have as great of an experience as I am here. I'm not going to have the Mike Hopkins, the Jerry McNamara's, Red Autry's in my ear at practice. I mean, just once you didn't know about those guys going to Syracuse, but you learned about their legacies when you're there, and you get to take all that in. And then, like everybody has talked about here with the connections with the program itself. I mean, Roosevelt helping me get overseas to play in different positions over there. I mean, guys I still talk to, coaches, alumni, guys I never played with, but that exists. And I think, the recurring theme that we all have a problem with is there is no culture, there is no community from the players down when they're in middle school and high school to the fans themselves, that there's this whole scarcity mindset, that there is no loyalty, there's nobody going one place or another. And that when someone leaves, they're not loyal. And if someone doesn't get what they want, maybe they didn't want to have a long-term future playing ball and they want to do something else, and that's where the program could do a better job. And that's where they could say, like, hey, listen, you're not going to make majority of your money playing professional sports. You're not going to be doing that. Really advocating, some strong, grassroots systems to help a lot of players get to that direction, to the place they're going to go. And I think, if the fans understood that, because they don't get to see the ins and outs, how the sausage is made like we get to see it or get to experience it. But, if that was there, we'd all have a better thing. The knowledge and the understanding of where people are coming from, the players to the fans to, the problem we have with the system itself, giving these guys a better opportunity. So, definitely wouldn't make a different choice. Would definitely come here again. I had a rock star experience, and and that's coming from a guy who only averaged 2 minutes, throughout my career. So you couldn't beat it. It still got me to get my dreams to play overseas and to take me all around the world after that with basketball. So it was, we'd definitely do it again.
One final point for you gentlemen, and Eric touched on it already, so we'll go around the horn because Eric spoke about Coach Boeheim, so we'll talk about that with you guys in a sec. But Rex, I want to go with you very quickly here about, so would you do it again if you had the choice?
I absolutely would. And perhaps I'm a little bit more like Brandon. I was a guy who probably got more splinters than accolades. Although when I was recruited, Coach Fred Lewis, part of his pitch was, you're going to be the crown jewel. And we got this skinny kid from Washington, D.C. who's going to help you. Turned out to be Dave Bing. And in later years, I said, Dave, I was supposed to be the crown jewel. But having said that, I just would say that I would definitely go back to Syracuse, even with, and it wouldn't necessarily be for pure basketball reasons per se, although being part of that basketball program, I was part of something larger than myself, which I carry with me to this day, not only with my teammates, but to guys like you all are. The one example of that, and I'm sorry Rosie left, but was when we went back for alumni weekends, and I bring my grandsons with me. There was one occasion when we were at the new practice facility and taking the tour. I had been there a number of times, but I was bringing my grandsons through. And the next thing I saw my older grandson, Scott, out on the court with Dale. And Dale spent quite a bit of time working with him one-on-one, just as a member of the family, showing him some of the finer points. That really meant a lot to me. On a later occasion, Rosie did the same thing, was showing him how to hold your space. And if you hit somebody with your elbows, boink, too bad for them type of thing. But these were, I felt then, and continue to feel that these were my brothers working with my family, and it meant a lot to me. So being part of something bigger than myself was important. One thing that I think the program is missing is a Bernie Fine. Bernie Fine was the guy who kept us together. Bernie Fine was the guy who sent out, when we had those alumni games and the alumni weekends, he would send it out in November, and it would be hand addressed to attention BF. And he was kind of the glue that in many ways held the program together and retained that loyalty among players past and present. And I wish we had a Bernie Fine now, because I'm seeing that really missing in the program to act as a catalyst to bring us together. But yes, I would. I got a great education at Syracuse University. Strangely enough, a lot of those liberal arts courses, the English major, history minor, philosophy, political science, come back to me now in very strange ways and mean a lot, perhaps more to me now than when I was taking them and just wanted to make sure I retained my eligibility. Yeah, in answer to the question, notwithstanding the fact that I was perhaps the guy that didn't get all of the playing time that he had hoped for when he started the journey, I would definitely go back to Syracuse.
Final note here, and like I said, Eric spoke with us here on Coach B, and I know you talk about it in your book, and definitely it's everydaygod.us that you can check out there for Eric. Dale, I know you have to run here in a second. I want to make sure I get to everybody quickly here. So, Dale, your thoughts on Coach Boeheim going into year 46? Coach Boeheim and Coach Fine. Rex gave me a perfect segue to talk about Bernie Fine, who was always good to me. When I came back to Syracuse, and I was born and raised here, but when I came back here after working at ESPN down in Orlando, Florida, I was warned, don't talk to Bernie Fine. He doesn't talk to anybody. He's terrible with the media. He gives 3 words. And so I was basically told he's cold, he's not going to give you anything you need, and don't even waste your time. I didn't listen to anybody because I make my own decisions on people face to face, person to person. And Bernie was always good to me, and I know that that's also a part of your life. So what can you tell me about Coach B and Coach Fine?
Well, Coach Boeheim was an assistant my freshman year at Syracuse, and I think him and I bumped heads a few times because my freshman year coming in at Syracuse and actually breaking into the starting lineup after the 5th game of the season, they tend to blame everything on the freshmen if something goes wrong. So those situations, I was very outspoken about that. I was the type of person that says freshmen aren't to blame for every time we make a mistake or every time we lose a ball game. It's all of us together. But all in all, once Coach Boeheim became the head coach at Syracuse, he gave us all the opportunities to prove ourselves. I played all 5 positions at Syracuse, and to my respect and my appreciation of Coach Boeheim, there was guys coming in, at the center position when Roosevelt came in that he gave me an opportunity to play somewhere else. Then we had Louis Orr come in with Roosevelt and that, and Marty Burns graduated. So it gave me a chance to play another position. We lost our guards, Jimmy Williams, Larry Kelly, and it gave me a chance to play in the guard position, which wasn't a normal position for me, but it gave me the opportunity to still play. And I tell all the players that I deal with right now, you don't care where you play, it's as long as you play. And it doesn't matter what position it is, you should know and understand every position on the floor. And I'm very fortunate to be down here in Delray Beach, Florida, where I'm only about 10 minutes from Bernie Fine. So I see Bernie probably 2 or 3 times a week. I talk to him probably every day on different things. Him and I are involved in some coaching and some training with individuals down here and that. And Bernie brought me into the coaching situation here in Florida. He hooked me up with a travel team last summer, which from there, through some friends of his that he knew, he got me a assistant coaching job at Cardinal Gibbons High School. So Bernie has always been there for me. I know he's there for a lot of the other players that he's coached over the years. He still would love to hear from a lot of guys that he's probably reached out to and you haven't reached back out to him. But if you don't have his number, you can always reach me, and I'll put you in contact with Bernie. Bernie's doing fine. He's in great health. He plays tennis every day. He goes out in the afternoons and he trains young athletes to hopefully get the same opportunities that we had to play at a major college level, or at least play at some college level. And some players that he's helping to get to Europe and play. So Bernie's doing well. I can't say enough about Coach Boeheim. His legacy speaks for itself. Every player that's played for him or played with him or that know him and has come across Coach Boeheim knows that he knows the game, he loves the game, and he also will do anything for his players, and he still does. And to Bayham's credit, every one of us can attest to it. Anytime we want to go to a basketball game that they're letting fans into, Coach Bayham always provides tickets for us. So I've never had anything bad to say about Coach Bayham. I always respected him because he gave me the opportunity to compete for playing time and not hamper me from having the experience or improving my basketball skills.
That coming from Dale Shackelford. Final note here, Dennis, your thoughts on Coach B and Coach Fine and what they have meant to the program, what they mean to the alumni.
Okay. Well, I talked to Bernie 2 days ago. 2 days ago, and he told me that he was playing tennis 6 days a week, but I keep in contact with him. I knew Bernie before he was coaching at Syracuse when he was coaching in high school up here in Syracuse. Been a friend and always will be a friend. Obviously, when he went through what he went through, I was kind of in the middle of that somewhat because I was chief of police at the time and running things in Syracuse as far as police department. But that never changed our relationship, although I was accused of a lot of things to help Bernie, which wasn't accurate at all. As far as Boeheim is concerned, Boeheim was my position coach in college. He wasn't my head coach, but he was my position coach. He was someone I had to deal with every day relative to, what I was doing on the court and obviously off the court at the time. We had a lot of conversations about Dave and his relationship with Dave and what he did when he was in Syracuse and how he was successful in a lot of different ways. I look at Jim in two different perspectives. Obviously, he wasn't my head coach, so I didn't have that or didn't have a contentious relationship related to his coaching or my playing time or anything like that. So I'm on his board for his foundation, have been since day one. And the reason why I was on it and the reason why I was asked to be on it because of the fact that I was concerned about what he was going to do in that foundation and how it was going to affect the people in the city of Syracuse directly. Had a lot of conversations with him about that, and you know what? He kept his word. He's giving back to those that need it. He's giving back to the portions of the city that I was most interested in, which is the grassroots programs, helping them financially in times where, especially now that they need it. He's using the platform for him being the head coach to do things differently, where a lot of coaches haven't reached that level throughout the country. His coaches for cancer dinners have been exceptional and been a model throughout the country as far as them bringing people together, which is ultimately the fans of Syracuse. We can't forget that. Those same people that participate in those programs are the same people and give generously are the same people that go to the games that we watch and that our kids are participating, on Syracuse Orange teams. So I view Jim in a different, different lights. I respect what he's done and how the program has grown the program. I have an ongoing relationship with him now and we'll continue to have that in the future. I think a lot of what Syracuse basketball is, he has to take credit. He didn't start it, but he's damn sure running it right now. When that ends, it ends. But a lot of what we have now as far as the growth of the program is directly in response to what he's put together. Whether you like it or not, or whether you agree with him or not, or whether you agree with his style of play, 900 plus wins is 900 plus wins. You can't take away, like I always say, you can't change history. Can't change history, man. It is what it is.
That coming from Dennis. Rex, final point here about Coach Bay, and as well as Coach Fine. What do you think about Coach Bay? I know you mentioned Coach Fine and some things here, and we'll get Brandon's thoughts in a second, but your thoughts on Coach Boeheim overall as he steps into year 46 at the same school, and Bernie Fine a little bit too.
Well, I remember Jim at the very beginning, as I said before, in the September of 1962, when we had our first meeting, and that was actually the first time I met him, when we had the first team meeting. He was a walk-on, and I've always been intrigued by the notion that he was a guy who came on then and just never left. I have a former colleague who used to call me. He was a former athlete, but he'd call me about 5 o'clock in the morning if Syracuse lost the game. He was an early riser, and I notoriously was not. And he would call me and say, well, I see your buddy Boeheim choked on another one. And I'd say, hey, all I can tell you is check the W's, check the W's. And, over the years, Jim, I recall him as an athlete, and I think there is some connection. As an athlete, most people who played with him would say Jim was probably not the best pure athlete out there. I don't think he ever dunked the ball, which today at 6'4" would be kind of unheard of. And he wasn't the most fleet of foot. But Jim was the guy who knew and understood the game of basketball, and he was the guy who was about three plays ahead in the right place at the right time. Jim was what I would have called back then a student of the game, which I never truly professed to be. So when I look back at it retrospectively, I'm not surprised that Jim ended up as the coach he is today. I think he is a brilliant basketball mind, often not given credit for it. And while I probably don't understand all of the things that he does, and I watch the game as it's played today, and sometimes I say, where is fundamental basketball here? I don't see anybody doing this, that, or the other thing, and all of that other stuff. Still, I respect Jim as a guy who knows and understands the game, and he's, let's face it, he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame for some reasons, and he's earned his stripes. So I have the greatest respect for him.
Mr. Reese, bring us home here. Coach Fine, you were nodding when you were hearing things about him. We've heard Eric Santifer, we've heard Rex Trowbridge, we've heard everybody else on the call today speak on Jim Boeheim. What are your thoughts on Coach B as well as Coach Fine?
I mean, Bernie's the guy who brought me up to Syracuse. Went to high school with Brandon Knight, and again, I wasn't the the first guy getting all the attention and notice, but every time Bernie came down, I'd have 20 and 12, 20 and 10, 20 and 11, 6 threes. It's like, we can't give you a scholarship, but come on up. And like everybody spoke about Bernie. Bernie is the that glue, the guy who did all the extra work to keep that Syracuse nucleus and family together, whether you were in the program or outside the program, all the extra mile stuff to make sure, a program with a legacy like it has, is the reason behind it. It was the backbone there, always supporting and, helping guys out in whatever way he could. And that's why, everybody still supports Bernie. I call him like everybody else. I'm down in South Florida. I'm heading to lunch with Bernie. I just advocate more guys, stay in touch with Bern. He's just the great guy. And it's unfortunate with all the news and, the terrible things were said about him. But Bernie's Bernie. And definitely get in touch with him. You're in South Florida. He'd love to link up with all players and, talk ball and talk about old times, because I know he works with a lot of basketball programs in South Florida where I'm from. In terms of Coach Boeheim, I'd say like Eric, I have my own contentions with Coach Boeheim, especially after I broke his hand in practice one time, playing time just dipped out completely. And I thought I was going to get just canned from the whole program itself. I thought I was going to be sent on get a bus ticket home after that. But, stay with the program. And, like you said, we all might have our differences of opinions on how, the program could run and how could we coach, but, coach is obviously doing something. He's got a ahead of the game on ideas, on things to do and why to do it. I think one of the best things I learned from is, the composure and poise for someone who is getting all this limelight and attention, whether it's good or bad, constantly. We're all looking under with a magnifying glass. I really learned a valuable lesson of, composure and poise when you're in front of the light, when you're doing certain things, just to hold yourself in a certain demeanor and, keep your chin up in those ways. As much as, we had our beefs, I, definitely took some valuable lessons. And like everybody said here, you don't get 900 wins and build a program like this on nothing you know, he has an edge. He knows what he's doing, and you know, I'm just happy I got to play under him and learn under his tutelage.
Broke his hand in practice.
Dislocated it. He still has to apparently have a rod in his hand. Like, had to have surgery, like on his ring finger on his left hand too, so he couldn't wear it. So yeah, Julie Boeheim came to practice like 1 or 2 days later. I'm like, I went to her to see if I was still in the program, if I was going to be sent home after that. Like, am I good? Like, I know I'm on scholarship too. Like, am I going to lose that? Like, what's going to happen here? And it's like, no, Brandon, you're fine. Just, you say if I didn't love this kid because he can bust his ass in practice every day and do all these things that he does in practice, I would have sent him home, you know, immediately after it happened. So I was like, okay, I'm here for a reason. I'm going to keep going. And just have a good bar story for the rest of my life with that one.
Yeah, for sure. So for Rex Trowbridge, as well as Brandon Reese, Eric Santifer, and a big thanks to Dale Shackelford, as well as Roosevelt Bowie Jr., Sonny Spirit, Gene Waldron, Jimmy Lee, and Dennis Duval. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. I tried to make sure we got to everybody and balanced out as best we could here with all of you coming on the screen, but thank you so much for doing this and for bringing some positivity and reminding that we don't all have to agree with each other, but this is one big family and there's a lot more to be had here than just negative opinions that won't really take you anywhere. So thank you guys for that. I appreciate it.
No, Dan, thank you for having me. It was great to talk with you again and talking to the crew.
All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Take care.
Take care.
Appreciate it.